again. Today I'm going to read Princess Disgrace, third term at Tall Towers. It's going to be super fun to read. There's about 25 chapters in this book. And here's to my girl as always. New Quentzler. Chapter 1. An exciting announcement. Chapter 1. An exciting announcement. Next rows of gold chairs were arranged on the sunlit lawn where the royal pupils at Tall Towers Princess Academy were gathered for the first assembly of the summer term. Good morning, Lady Dulac, chorused the princess as everyone rose to their feet and curtsied to the headmistress in her long blue gown. Princess Grace was so excited to be back for a third term at Tall Towers that she jumped up quickest of all. Sorry, she said, nearly knocking over her two best friends, Princess Scarlet and Princess Ebony. Oh, Grace is being silly and able again. Careful, giggled the girls. They all grabbed an arm and steadied Grace because she toppled over completely. How pathetic! Look at Princess Disgrace, hissed a voice on the row of chairs behind. She can't even do a proper curtsy yet. Grace knew, without turning around, that was her cousin Princess who was talking. Like Grace, she was the first year at Tall Towers. Oh, Princess, you're funny, snorted the twins. Trinket and Truffle. Grace would recognize their voice anywhere. They sounded two snuffy piglets with their snouts and truff, and they thought everything Precious was absolutely hilarious. They both snorted now. Grace had promised herself she would try and be more princessy this term, but she spun around and it was just to stick out her tongue at Precious when she caught sight of the strict prom teacher, Fairy Godmother Flint, staring out from her end of the rows. Old Flintheart, as the girls called her, was dressed from head to foot in black robes and as a steely glare grew split the petals in a rose. Grace almost bit off her tongue. She was so quick to pop it back in her mouth. She smiled innocently at Flintheart, trying to look perfect, proper and princessy as she possibly could. Welcome back to another term at Tall Towers, Lady Dulac was saying as the princess all sat down again on the little golden chairs. I wonder what news she'll have for us, Grace whispered to Scarlet and Esme as Flintheart finally turned away. You'll never know what's going to happen next at Tall Towers, agreed Esme. She was so tiny compared with her tall wiggly friend that she had to stretch right out of her chair to whisper into Grace's ear. As long as there were no more dragons on this island, gulped heady, pretty red-haired Princess Scarlet, leaning forward, Grace from the other side. Poor Huffle, Grace grinned, remembering the little red dragon she had secretly raised in a cave last term. He really didn't mean anyone any harm, and looked at Flintheart. She seems as ugly as usual. So raised her eyeballs and smiled. I'm going to sketch in the gardens. Now summer, whispered artistic Esme. I'm going to have 1 billion picnics and ride Billy flat on our beach, grinned Grace, thinking of the fun she could have galloping her shaggy unicorn along the sand. She was about to suggest that the girls should slip down the stable for a minute or two after assembly when she heard Lady Dulac make an announcement. As soon as assembly is over, all first-year princesses should return to the dormitory and get changed, she said. Changed? Murmured Grace. To wonder if they were supposed to put on their riding habits. Perhaps they get to see the unicorns after all. Or perhaps there was dance class and they have to change in their tutus. Now summer, you will begin your school swimming lessons, smiled Lady Dulac. Swimming? How perfect, whispered Grace, fidgeting as the hot morning sun beat down her neck. Who teaches us? She couldn't imagine old Flintheart putting on the bathing suit and diving to the water. It looked like a vampire bath for a bath. Do you remember? Scarlet, her eyes wide with surprise. At Tall Towers, announced Lady Dulac, all princesses are taught to swim by mermaids. Mermaids? Whoopee! Grace leaped right out of chair and cheered. It was just about the most exciting thing she could imagine. Scarlet was right. She had heard about the mermaid teachers before, but she had never quite believed it was true. Princess Grace, sit down in an instant, hissed Leonard. Sorry, Grace flopped back to her chair, but even Flint's furious stare couldn't stop grinning from ear to ear. I think Princess Grace had expected what we all feel, smiled Lady Juliet kindly. We are very lucky to have mermaid visiting our school. Grace turned to look at her friends. Sure enough, Izumi was beaming. The other first years were grinning too. All except Scarlet. She looked terrified. Oh dear, I never learned to swim, he said. Her big sea green eyes were flashing with fear. Chapter 2 Clamshell Cove. Hurry up, girls! Grace grabbed her towel and dashed through the door of Sky Dorm, the little attic bedroom she shared with Scarlet and Izumi. Careful! Cried Scarlet. Look out! But it was too late. It was running so fast she tripped over the end of the trailing tower and landed entangled on the floor. Oops, she giggled. I don't want to twist my ankle before we even meet the mermaids. She felt a fizz of excitement in her tummy. I wish you had a little more time to settle back before swimming lessons begin, said Scarlet. Her hand was shaking as she brushed her long red hair. I'm the only princess in the class who can't swim at all. I won't worry. I just flop about like a seal, grinned Grace. She thought of her freezing gray lake where father had taught her to swim at home. The trick was to splash as much as possible, or your finger and toes turned to ice. It would be wonderful to float calmly here in the sunny blue waters of Clamshell Cove. The mermaids are going to teach us how to swim gracefully, she said. You'll be brilliant at that, Scarlet. You're such a wonderful dancer. Scarlet smiled shyly. She was the best ballerina in the whole class. Come on, cried Grace, tying a knot in the end of her frizzy bottom plate. Last one in the water jellyfish. She thundered down the twisting stairs of Dominario Tower. Hoops! She squealed, almost cuddling with Princess Letitia as she came out to see Dorm on the floor below. Letitia, who was very sporty, looked just about excited as Grace. I wonder if we'll have swimming races, she grinned as she sprinted downstairs. I hope I'm joining the team and we can do, panted Grace, trying to keep up. Me too, falling behind, said Izumi. It was only Grace tumbled down the very last step and she realized Scarlet wasn't with them. You go on, she said to the others. I'll wait for her. Oh, Grace was so excited she almost plumped into Letitia. Are you sure? Asked Izumi. Grace nodded. She was desperate to see the mermaids for herself, but she knew how nervous poor Scarlet was feeling. See you in a minute, smiled Izumi, following Letitia as they headed towards the cliff path. Don't forget, last one in the pool is a jellyfish, you said to yourself. Blubber dumber, laughed Grace, shaking her arms and legs as it was an enormous jelly creature. Help! Izumi pretended to be terrified and dashed away. Come on, Scarlet! Grace bellowed, hurrying up the long staircase and dancing excitedly from foot to foot. It was so good to be back at school with her friends again. What is that horrible noise? Said a short voice. The door to Fairy Godmother Flint's ground floor office banged with a hush, and Flint poked her long thin nose out of the hole. Princess Grace, she sighed. I might have known it was making horrible, unprincess-like Cubabello. Hurry along, said the form teacher firmly, as Scarlet appeared from the stairs, looking purely white with fear. Remember how you were even to sit on Violet while you had a proper lesson? Now you got over Coronet Island. That's true, said Scarlet, but the water always frightened me. It does go up for your nose a bit if you breathe in the wrong time, laughed Grace, but I bet the mermaids will have you diving in coral in no time. Not an hour verse lesson, I hope, shivered Scarlet. Grace was trying to make her friend feel better, then she realized she was making things worse. Yet a moment later, even Scarlet smiled as they wound their way down the steep cliff path and caught a glimpse of the sheltered water cove below. The deep, natural rock pool was perfect shell shape. There wasn't a single wave on the bright, clear surface, glistening ripe turquoise in the sun. How pretty! Wow, Grace gasped. Although she had seen the pool before, it had never looked quite as magical as it today. Perhaps it was knowing that the mermaids might be somewhere near. She had only glimpsed a real mermaid once before, just a flash of tail of the boat. The icy water at home was far too chilly for merfolk to stay around long. But the sea here on the shores of Coronet Island was as warm as clear as the clouded blue sky above. It's really beautiful, whispered Scarlet. The whole class had gathered on the edge of the sand in excited giggle. Only Princess didn't seem impressed. Mommy said I don't have to swim if I don't want to, she said, flicking her long golden hair. The sea water might ruin my curls. Grace opened and closed her mouth like a goldfish. She could understand Scarlet hanging back because she was afraid, but all the Princess were really going to refuse to go in the water just because of her hair? I want to try and dive for shells, said Letitia. My older sister said the deep end drops down further than a well. I couldn't care less about the silly shells or mermaids, said Precious. The only good thing ever come out here was these pearls. She raised her hands to her throat and clutched the level necklace she always wore. I do not mean to wear jewelry in the pool as in case it gets lost, said Scarlet, looking worried. I left my silver locket in the dormitory. I can't do what I want, said Precious. It's my necklace. It's been my family generations. Since the time of my great-grandmother Joy. Our great-grandmother Joy, said Grace, with a cheeky grin. She knew that Precious hated being reminded she was related to someone in such a tiny, scruffy little kingdom as Grace. But because they were cousins, they shared the same grandparents, and great-grandparents, of course, on their mother's side of the family. You're just jealous, Grace, snapped Precious. One of these tiny pearls is probably worth more than your whole grotty little kingdom. I'm not jealous at all, said Grace, truthfully. She never wore jewelry in case it broke or lost somewhere. She certainly wouldn't trust herself with the treasured family pearls. I'd rather have a yummy box of chocolate than any shiny jewels all day, she grinned. Good for you, Grace, laughed wealthy Princess Violetta. She was the richest princess in the class, in the whole world, somebody said. But unlike Precious, she never dared tell someone about how big or small their kingdom was. She linked arms with Grace and pointed to shimmering turquoise floor. Even a mountain of jewels couldn't buy anything as beautiful as that, she said. Look, crystals splashed on the surface on the water and smudged in emerald green. Her heart leaped like a flying fish. I think that's a mermaid tail, she gasped. Chapter 3 Swimming with the Mermaids. The first year jostled forward. Grace was sure it was a tail she had been flickering in the water. A moment later, the dark head of a beautiful black-haired woman rose up on the surface of the pool. Her skin was as smooth and bronze as driftwood on the beach. As she slithered onto the rock, the girl saw that her sparkling green tail which gleamed on sunlight. Greeting, your young majesties. My name is Oceana, she said, her voice rising and falling like waves. A second, much younger mermaid appeared beside her. She was a beautiful teenager who didn't look much older than the sixth form princesses at tall towers. Her skin was as pale as Precious. A string of pierced and blonde hair tumbled to the waist. I'm Waverly, she said softly. Look, whispered Princess Truffle, one of the twins. Her curls are twice as thick as yours, Precious. Shut up, Truffle, hissed Precious. Nobody cares what you think. Yes, shut up, Shuffle, giggled Princess Trinket, the other twin. Waverly slid to the rocks. The young mermaid's tail was silver and shone like a million diamonds. I don't see what the fuss is about, mumbled Precious. They're just fancy fish. Grace raised her eyebrows. Trust Precious to be jealous because Waverly's hair was longer and thicker than hers. She could say what she liked, but the mermaids were beautiful, far lovelier than the pictures Grace had seen in the fairy tale books and the little sister Pip loved to read. Welcome, dear mermaids, said Lady Dulac, who had come down to the beach too. She bowed to the mermaids. I look forward to you to visit for many months. Thank you, headmistress. I'm always excited to see your youngest princesses, she Oceana, and this is the first time Waverly has come to the school to help me. She beckoned to the young mermaid forward, and Waverly began to sing, as if in greeting, so the headmistress and her tall townspeople. A long, clear, tinkling note echoed across the pool. It sounded like was more like a musical instrument than a strong. It seemed to Grace to catch all sadness and mystery of the sea. Gosh, how could she sing so high? Gasped musical Princess Martin, who had a beautiful voice of her own. Well, it wasn't at all musical. When she sang, it sounded like a frog was trying to clear its throat. Even she could tell the young mermaid voice was as fine as any flute or violin she could ever hope to be. The singing made Grace feel as she did the deepest ocean and swim along the seabed, almost caught one starfish. This is a whole big picture. Here, Scarlet, Grace, Amy, Letitia, Trinket, Truffle, and look at Precious. She was very mad. Look, Waverly, the young mermaid, has a very beautiful one. Yes, and her hair, is very curly, thicker, very beautiful then. Do you feel it too? Whispered Scarlet. gripping her hand. Like they're calling you to sea? It's probably some kind of enchantment, helpful priestess gravely tossed her hair, and mermaid curls streams like waterfalls spun gold. Merfolk are always casting spells on people. I don't think they should be allowed to come anywhere near school. What's nonsense, said Grace. If there is any magic, it comes from the mystery of the sea. I think it's exciting. You may get into the water, said Oceana, motioning the princess forward. Grace couldn't wait a moment longer. She tossed her tail onto the rocks, let out a whoop of joy, and dived bombed into the sparkling blue pool. A huge splash rolled up like a whirling skirt of water. Oh, look at Princess Grace. Disgrace. Oh, I mean Grace. Whippy! She cheered. The sea was as warm as a bath. Grace rolled onto the back. She saw that our princess was stepping gently down the sunken steps, edging into the water with graceful swans. I suppose it would be more princessy if I do like that, he wiggled. The girl was still standing nervously on the side, but I swam back to her. The twins, meanwhile, had managed to encourage Precious on the steps. I suppose I might come in, she said, winkling her nose and dipping a toe in the water like a puddle of mud rather than a sparkling Shakespeare pool. After all, it's not like I'm scared of anything. Precious shot a mean look at Scarlet and burst into fits of giggle. That's enough, said Grace, pounding towards the shallow end. She had good mind to dunk Precious' curly gold head right into the water. But Oceana swam between them. You need to remove your necklace before you get into the water, she says as Precious cheered on the steps. Precious blew out her cheeks and pouted. You don't want it to lose it amongst the rocks at the bottom of the pool, said Violetta. Grace nodded as the wealthy princess had taken off her own gold and silver bracelets and the ruby necklace and the emerald earrings she often wore, as well as her diamond tiara, of course. I never let this necklace out of my sight, said Princess sulkily. She looked around the pool with narrow eyes as if she thought the mermaid might want to steal it. I'll look it after you, said Scarlet, stretching out her hand. But aren't you coming in? Said Grace. I don't feel very well, said Scarlet. But, began Grace. She knew Scarlet was just scared. She felt so much better once she got in the water. If she stayed at the shallow end, near the steps, her feet would never need to leave the bottom. The mermaid will help you. You tell them you never had swimming lessons before, he said, just loud enough that only Scarlet would hear. Scarlet was too scared. But Scarlet looked away as she hadn't heard a thing. I really don't feel well, Lady Dulac, she said, pleading to the headmistress, who was still close to the pool. If I sit, I can look at Precious necklace so it won't come into any harm. I suppose there's some truth in that, said Lady Dulac kindly. It was certain the headmistress could see how afraid Scarlet was. From now on, I suggest you all leave your jewelry safe in dormitories when you all get changed. She looked pointedly at Precious before bowing to the mermaids and turning toward school. Precious stuck out her bottom lips. I never take my pearls off, she whined. I don't even think they come unclipped. Let me help you, said Oceana, fleeing through the water like a dolphin. I can do it myself! Precious leaped backwards. Keep your fins away from me, she muttered under her breath. I beg your pardon? Lady Dulac spun around. She had obviously heard every word. You will kindly remember you are addressing a teacher, Princess Precious. Show some respect. The headmistress did not raise her voice. She never did, but Grace watched as her cousin blushed with shame. A quiet word of warning from Lady Dulac was far more terrible than furious telling off from their godmother, Clint, or any other teachers. Every princess in the school wanted to please the silver-haired headmistress and make her proud. Here! Grace almost threw the necklace at Scarlet and Lady Dulac carried on towards the cliffs. Just wait till my mommy hears about this. What a fuss over a necklace, thought Grace, rolling on her tummy and splashing Precious as just a little more than she meant to kick her feet and paddle away to the other end of the pool. Chapter 4 The Pearls. Grace swam up to the pool with the other princesses at the mermaid's called out encouragement. Today we just want to see how well you can swim, said Oceana. Tomorrow we will teach you how to move like water in the elegant sea nymphs. Yikes! Said Grace, swallowing a mouthful of salty water. She wasn't certain exactly what sea nymph was, but she was sure swimming like one could be a lot harder than the scissor legs she was practicing now. You are doing very well, Princess Grace, said Oceana, gliding past with a flick of her tail. Perhaps you won't kick quite so hard, though. Grace glanced over her shoulder and saw that she had drenched poor Scarlet. She was sitting on the rock beside the deep end of the pool, looking at her precious pearls as she had promised. Sorry, Grace floundered over and grabbed Scarlet's towel from side the pool. Dry yourself with this. Careful, the pearls! Warned Scarlet. It was too late. As Grace snatched the towel, Precious' necklace splashed into the water. Quick, catch it! Said Grace, fighting desperately to free her hand from the towel. It was grabbed around like a damn octopus. Instantly, Scarlet dived forward, bravely throwing herself into the water. Wait! Gasped Grace as Scarlet disappeared under the surface to catch a sinking necklace. It's too deep for you here! Grace looked around in panic. She knew that Scarlet couldn't swim. Gravity was racing Letitia flat on the far side of the pool. All our princesses were gathered in the shallow end, plashing their legs. The ocean now clapped a rim for them to kick to. Grace opened her mouth to scream for help, but stopped, frozen in surprise. Beneath for a clear blue surface, Scarlet was diving straight as an arrow, swimming down, 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 down to the deep bottom of the pool. Grace clung to the side of the rocks, but the panic turned into pride inside her. I should have known. She smiled to herself. Scarlet was a brilliant swimmer, even though she had never been in the water before. She was as graceful and elegant in the sea as she was on the dance floor. Amazing! Cheered Grace, then realizing Scarlet was going to be able to hear her on the side of the wet pool and diving the fence to find the pearls. As soon as Grace's head was below the water, the noise was splashing of the swimming lesson disappeared. Ahead, she could see Scarlet's pale legs kicking through the water, as if they were all alone down here in the ocean world. Grace held her breath as she reached down the broad ledge of the rock halfway down inside the pool. Perhaps the pearls had landed there. She was already desperately to bob back to the surface and gasp for air. Scarlet had been under the water even longer, but it was still swimming straight and low, her knees and ankles tied together, her legs rippling like a fish tail. Grace blinked in the shadowy water, hoping to see a flash of white from the pearls. Her fingers searched the rocky ledge, finding only tiny pebbles and shells. She glanced down on towards the darkness of the bottom of the pool. Scarlet was still diving. How deep would she swim? Grace was trying to follow what she felt like, but Luke was going to burst into her chest. She couldn't stay under a moment longer. Phew! With a great gulping gasp, she broke back at the surface and clung spluttering to the rocks around the edge of the pool. Are you all right? She asked, patting Grace's back. Grace nodded. Scarlet's still down there, she said. She dived in to save Precious pearls. But how? She never had swimming lessons. Izumi peered at the shimmering water as Scarlet's shadow flickered between them for a second. That's amazing, said Princess Letitia, who swam up alongside the two friends. I never seen anyone swim like that. Grace stared down toward, but Scarlet had vanished in the darkness again. She's been down there for too long, she said, holding her breath and getting ready to dive once more. Ocean Warley, called Izumi. We need help. Come quick. But a second later, Scarlet burst to the first of the pool. Her long red hair was dripping wet. She raised her arm, held the purse, and high above her head. Got them! She said as scrambled to the side of the pool and collapsed on the rocks in a shivering heap. You're brilliant, cheered Grace, rubbing Scarlet's legs with a towel. Before she realized it was sopping wet when she had dropped in the water. Here, Izumi found a dry towel and grabbed it around Scarlet as she sat up with her shoulders hunched. Are you all right, Young Majesty? Asked Scarlet. Scarlet nodded. Her lips were trembling. That looked like some pretty good swimming, said the mermaid with a smile. What's going on? Asked Precious, doggy paddling over with her head high out of the water so that her hair wouldn't get wet. She looked like a fluffy golden poodle that she had accidentally fallen into the bath. Had we pushed Scarlet in or something? Actually, Scarlet saved your necklace, said Grace. It dropped into the bottom of the pools. My pearls? Shrieked Princess. I bet that was your fault, Grace. You're such a clumsy oaf. Clumsy oaf, echoed the twins. It was an accident, said Grace a little shakily. The hole was still bounding. Scarlet had taken a terrible risk, but imagine if the pearls had lost forever. It wasn't Grace's fault, said Scarlet, staring at the pearls as she couldn't take her eyes off them. I put the necklace down. I shall have to keep hold of it if I promise. I'll never trust you again, either of you. Just snatching the necklace from Scarlet's shaking fingers, she paddled away with hope and the twins splashing behind her, honking with sympathy like two sea lions. Phew, that was a close one. Grace flung her wet arms around her friend. I think Precious would have tried to drown as well if the pearls had sunk. Precious smiled weakly. You're amazing in the water. I couldn't even see what I was doing when much deeper than me, said Grace. How did you hold your breath for so long? It was as if you were a real mermaid. Don't! Sort of shot her look of panic. It was horrible underwater, she said, as she staggered to her feet. She grabbed the dry towels Izumi had given her and sprinted away across the beach. I'm going back to Tall Towers. Wait! Oceana, the lesson is not over yet. But Golly keep on running. I watched at her scrambling up the steep cliff path. Halfway up, she passed Lady Julian, who held up her hand as if urging Scarlet to stop. But the princess dodged sideways and held it on. Grace had never seen her friend ignore the teacher before, especially not the headmistress herself. Scarlet was tripping and falling as she ran, looking more like Grace Grove's shoeless undone than the elegant ballerina she was. I don't understand, Yuzumi clambered out of the pool too. God should be proud of the way she jumped into water like that. She's a natural, agreed Princess Latisha. Grace frowned. It was true. Scarlet had proved she was a wonderful swimmer. So why she was so upset? Was it just a shock? Or had something happened down there? Chapter 5 Birthday Plans. With all the excitement of the meeting in the mermaids and settling back to the school, Grace almost forgot that it was her birthday at the end of the week. You are so lucky, said Izumi, holding the gate of Grace and Scarlet as they rode the unicorn at a stable yard one sunny afternoon. You got your special Tall Tower birthday tea to look forward to. We can all get dressed in our fanciest clothes, grinned Scarlet, seeming more relaxed than she had for days. Can't refuse to go anywhere near a pool shine she died for the pearls, making a different excuse every time there was a swimming lesson. First she said she was ill, now she pretended she said she couldn't find her costumes. Also Grace had seen her stuff it under her bed. This morning, she claimed she had misread the timetable and gone to the dance studio instead. Scarlett never made mistakes like that. She was the most organized person Grace knew. Something was definitely wrong, but at least the party cheered up at the end of the party. I hope there were big wobbly jelly, bubbly lemon, and lots of chocolates, smiled Grace. Oh, and heart-shaped sandwiches and those little butterfly biscuits too, said Izumi. It was Tall Tower's tradition that whenever a princess had a birthday during term time, an enormous cake plate of party food was laid out to her to share with her classmates. A beautiful marble ballroom beneath the crystal chandeliers. There was dancing party games too. It was very different from home, where Grace's parties would usually involve roast yak on the spike, a tug of war with her father's warriors, and Jade the Jester giving her the bumps, which meant throwing her up in the air, higher and higher for every year of her life. At Tall Tower's princess birthday celebration certainly sounded a lot more proper for a princess. I do wish we could have a party in the stables, though, said Grace. I think what fun you would have to have tea with the unicorn. You're impossible, laughed Izumi. You know Billy would only eat all the cakes. That's true, said Grace, leaning forward to scratch her scruffy black and white unicorn between the ears. Billy was the greediest unicorn on the whole school. He turned his head, now hoping she might have a handful of prominent seats for him. This time you have a good gallop, said Grace firmly. They spent too much time in the swimming pool with the mermaids. It was the first chance she had to give Billy a really good ride. Let's go down to the beach, said Grace, pulling Billy's reins to the left. A long flat sand was one of her favorite places to gallop. Great idea, said Izumi, turning Beauty, her unicorn, in the same direction. I'm not sure, said Scarlet. I'd better go up to the moors. But her pretty dab that Grace's unicorn valet had other ideas. As soon as the three unicorns saw the sandy path that led to the beach, their ears pricked with excitement. Billy was off like a cannonball. It will be brilliant, Scarlet, cried Grace over her shoulder. You know how Violet loves to gallop in the waves. When they reached the beach, Scarlet kept Violet on the tight rein, close to the dry sand on the dunes. Uneasily let the unicorn gallop in the edge of the surf, splashing up water as they thundered. The leg and arm were even, their faces were soaked with spray. Grace was surprised, glad to enjoy the fun. Come on, down, she cried, blinking as she tried to see through the shower of seawater. Her words might have been carried away on the wind because Scarlet didn't seem to hear. She stayed on the powdery, dry sand far away from the shore. Steady? Said Izumi as they reached the edge of the beach and Beauty slowed to a gentle trot. Wow! Billy swerved sideways. He spotted a tasty strand of green seaweed and skidded to a stop so fast the boy flew right over his head and landed in the edge of the sea, a whip splashed down the back of her neck. I should have worn my swimming costume, she laughed, grabbing Billy's reins and squashing to the side of the rock pool, drinking water from her boots. You do look soggy, laughed Izumi. But it was late afternoon, the sun was still bright and warm. Grace clambered at her soaking wet riding clothes, so that she was just wearing her vest and knickers. I'll lay everything out at the rocks to dry for a bit, she said, flapping her socks in the wind. It's all right if we let the unicorn get at the edge of the dance for a while. Fine by me, said Izumi, loosening Beard's grip. We can play the shell game while we wait. Yes, let's, said Scarlet, her lovely broad smile back against her. Izumi loved to search the rock and sand, her pretty shell until she'd find her favorite. This long stretch of the sandy beach had brilliant specimens, and was only the best place on the island to play the game. 10 minutes then, she said, and we'll meet back here at the rock pool with our favorite shells. I'll stay near unicorns, Scarlet, heading up to the dry dunes again. Someone ought to watch them. Izumi already had her head bent low, walking right up the middle of the beach. Grace dashed down to the sea again. Now her legs were bare. It wouldn't matter if she got wet. We can swap over a while if you like, he called to Scarlet, but Scarlet shook her head. 10 minutes later, they meet back at the shallow rock pool. Izumi was carrying her boots now too, and she grazed in grass, washed her sandy feet. Ready? said Izumi, holding out her hand, which was closed to the tight fist. After 3, show yourselves. 1, counted Grace, holding out her tightly closed hands. 2, Scarlet joined in. 3, said Izumi. Wait. Said Izumi, and the girls opened their hands to revel the shells. Izumi was a tiny scalloped shaped one, with streaks of bright color almost as the mark had been painted by paintbrush. Scarlet was a pale white crawling sparrow. The circles twisting in towards the center, growing even tighter like a ballerina spinning in parotid. Amazing! Your shell suit you both so perfectly, said Grace, thinking how well the two different shapes matched her friend's artistic and graceful personalities. And yours just like you, said Izumi. It is, giggled Scarlet. Grace looked down the thin, knobbly shell she had chosen, the spikes poking out in every direction. How is this like me? She asked, all over the friend's shells. A sort of exciting difference, said Scarlet. A little wild, Izumi, but very pretty. Grace blushed. She didn't think she was anything like a delicate shell, but was delighted that her friend thought she was. Look at the mermaid rock. It's shaped like a bit of the shell, too, he said, pointing out to sea and trying to change the subject. Or perhaps more like Sea King's trident. The distant silvery rock rose above the waves like three tall spikes, each pointing up in the cloudless sky. Those look like Sea King tridents more. I suppose it'd be hollow inside, said Izumi. A mermaid grotto decorated with mother of pearl. I wonder if anyone ever gets to visit, said Grace. The faraway rock seemed to glow, almost as if there was some sort of magic hitting it. It was beautiful, said Scarlet, but Grace saw her friend shiver as she turned hurriedly away and ran up to the dunes to catch Philip. Izumi caught a unicorn too. It's getting late. We ought to be back heading to school, she said. Coming, said Grace, trembling into the dry clothes as Billy trotted over to the edge of the waves to meet her. She put on her boot and stirrup and glanced up to the sea one last time. It was odd. She felt like a shiver run down her spine. As the shimmering shadow of a mermaid rock was sending its magic out across the waves towards them, Grace couldn't help feeling they were going to know more about the strange silvery rock before the summer term was over. That's all that of 5 chapters. I'm going to read you more next time, but bye!